Millions of Christians around the world find their faith is more than a belief. It's a risk to their lives. As headlines are dominated by stories of sectarian violence in the Middle East, the plight of Christians in many war-torn countries is overlooked. From discrimination and imprisonment to violence and death, many Christians face persecution simply for professing their faith. Since 2011, my next guest has worked to provide practical support and encouragement and a lifeline to Christians suffering for their beliefs across the world. I'm joined now by the CEO and President of Help The Persecuted, Joshua Youssef. Joshua, thank you very much for coming in. Tell me about your organization and where you're carrying out your work.
Thanks for having me, Jacob. We rescue, restore, and rebuild the lives of persecuted Christians. That's our mission. And our vision is to see the church flourish in a challenging and difficult environment, not just a soil that's dry physically, but metaphorically it is dry. Primarily the Middle East, North Africa. We do have some work in Asia as well. But what we've found is that, particularly in these honor-shame cultures, when someone challenges that culture and leaves that culture and becomes a Christian, they experience
So these are people converting from Islam to Christianity primarily?
That's correct.
And what happens to them? What physically happens?
Yeah, it was actually somebody that I helped rescue from the country of Jordan, and I helped get her here in England. She introduced me to this phrase, civic death. This idea that in that honor-shame culture, you've brought so much shame to the family and the community, you must come back or you will die.
And is this imposed by governments? Is it imposed by families, communities? Who is enforcing the persecution?
You know, in some countries like Iran, we see the state executing people and putting them in prison, and it's very severe. In some countries like Egypt, the state is sometimes neutral, not always neutral, but it's the family that ultimately brings the persecution. So it can be familial, and it can be the state, and it can be both.
And is it primarily on women or on men or on both equally?
Yeah, women do experience, I think, the greatest degree of persecution, and the penalty and the punishment oftentimes is harsher.
And what about the Christian communities that are not converts, the Coptic Christians, for example, in Egypt? How safe are they?
Living as a minority Christian population in a majority Muslim context like Egypt is not great. They do lack freedoms. For instance, in Egypt, a Christian church, the cross on the Christian church can never be higher than the minaret of the mosque. That's the law.
Right.
So it is challenging. And then, of course, historically, we've seen in parts of northern Iraq, we've seen Christian villages taken over by ISIS. These were historic Christian populations of Chaldean Christians who'd been Christians for 2,000 years, told to convert or leave or pay the jizya, the penalty, to remain a Christian under Islamic rule.
And so the existing Christians have a difficult but livable life. The ones who are persecuted are the converts, and we hear periodically stories from Pakistan of converts who are found guilty of blasphemy laws, and that is the state getting involved at that point. But you're actually saying that it's more the family. And is this violence or is it cold shouldering?
There can be being ostracized and the cold shoulder, but we see a lot of violence being the sort of the end result if they don't come back to Islam.
And so how do you help? What does your group do? You rescue them, sometimes you take them out of the country, but can you support them in the country?
We do. We have over 20 safe houses across the entire region. We have a safe haven in Lebanon where a lot of Syrian Christians come to. And we have a network of staff and team who are really good at supporting people in country. We even have a enduring livelihood ministry that helps people actually build businesses. So once you've lost your job because of your faith, we'll help you build your business and grow.
And are the people who work for your organization, are they themselves at risk? Because it can't be very popular if you're rescuing a family member from the disapproval of the family.
Yeah, I mean, many of our people have spent time in prison. Our Iranian leader who lives in Turkey, he was in prison for 3 years for his faith.
Right. And what's the worst country you have to deal with?
You know, Yemen is really difficult right now.
So war-torn countries where there's breakdown of law and order are particularly difficult.
Really hard. Afghanistan, the Taliban is increasingly restricting people with their technology, really cracking down on the church. The violence is extreme, even more so than Iran.
Right. Well, I wish you every success in your very important and godly work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jake.